Here. Oh, open my eyelids a little bit. All right, that's a great screenshot.
10 out of 10.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Hey everybody, it's Tori, the founder of the Mighty Dames, and we are joined for I want to say technically part 2 or 3, but we're gonna pretend like none of those happened. But we're back with another roll call interview. This time we are with the amazing Jasmine. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Tori. Good to see you.
Oh my God, it's so nice to see you again. I think so let's think. We first met at the I don't know, one of the open mats down here. Was it the one with Jiu-Jitsu Gypsies? Was it the
It
joint one?
might have been once because we did that statewide
Yeah.
one in Orlando with Pretty Dangerous, and I think that was when, and that was got to be like 4 years ago or something crazy
Jeez,
like that.
please don't say that. Oh God. Oh, well, I was still a blue belt then. So that was at least 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus. All right, never mind. Or like maybe at a probably at a competition too, because you
Oh, I
refed
always saw you
quite a
at
bit.
competitions. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I'm a hard figure to miss at a competition. Okay, yeah. So let's go ahead and get everyone your quick stats. Let's say how long you've been training, where you're training at, your belt, all that jazz.
Hi everyone. My name is Jasmine Bienvenue. I am a brown belt at Easton Training Center in Denver, Colorado. I've been training for almost 9.5 years. So I've been in the game a while. You might have seen me refereeing Naga, getting yelled at in Portuguese, sometimes at IBJJF. You might see me at the women's upper mats. I support the lovely Olivia Shand with Jiu Jitsu Gypsies. So I've been around the block for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, we've
Tori's
heard
big
Olivia.
fan.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. This is again like this is the second interview in a row that like Olivia's been brought up. Like, yeah, we love Olivia here. Like, yeah.
Because she's like my partner in crime. True
Mhm.
story. She still texts me about gypsy stuff, and I'm in Colorado now. Like,
So how long were you in like the Miami area before you moved to Colorado?
it was probably about two and a half years, something
Okay.
like that. I had moved to Miami for love,
Oh.
as per usual. That's what happens. But I knew that I eventually wanted to move to the other side of the country. I wanted to be in mountains.
Mm,
So
not
when I
many
got
of
a
those in
off,
Florida.
not many,
Not
no,
many.
but yes,
Like
you're
we
sacrificing
couldn't tell by
beach.
your background like you like the mountains.
Except it's pretty cold up here right now in the mountains, so I'm not going and seeing these things willingly right now with like 2 feet of snow to plow through. So that's a no for me.
I do not blame you.
To be fair, it's beautiful and 60 degrees outside in Denver right now. So Denver's
Okay.
special in that way that it does get whack weather, but not as often as people think.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, I was in Miami for 2.5 years, and then I got a job offer out here in Denver. And soon after that, like probably like 9 months after that, I moved out here, and Gus followed me after that. My husband,
All right. Yeah, the
the
hubby.
hubby.
Okay. So how did you get started in jujitsu?
Yeah, I was probably 19 years old, and I was going to the University of Tampa. So I was living in Tampa Bay at the time, and I was going to this gym just like down the street from where I was staying, and I ended up getting a job there because I needed a part-time job, to make ends
Of,
meet in
of
college.
course.
At a gym, and I was taking these like cardio kickboxing classes at this gym. I think it was called Choice Fitness at the time. It is
Hmm.
definitely not there anymore. I think it's replaced by Home Buildings and Blind Tiger Coffee. Now it's like, I don't know, it's not there
Okay.
anymore. But in the back, I would see some MMA, some people doing MMA,
Hmm.
rolling and actually fighting. And at the time, I was like, "There's more beyond boxing. Like what?
There's something else? What?
There's something else." And I did make friends with this girl, Sammy, who I think still trains more off sometimes, but she's not as more active in the game as she used to be.
Okay.
And she invited me to a jiu-jitsu class, and that was like I think the week of like Thanksgiving, and like when I was don't even know what year it is. Don't ask me to do the math. Um,
A little bit ago. That's all.
a little bit ago, and this gym was called Gracie Tampa
Hmm.
South, run by Matt
Okay.
Arroyo, and I took a class, and that was it. I
Oh,
got hooked. I needed something to take out my aggression because I had just broken up with like my high school sweetheart, and
That'll do it.
it was ended up being jiu-jitsu. And I did kickboxing as well for a time, but then, as most people learn, like jiu-jitsu takes up way more energy. You have to be like a professional fighter to really just do both and for your
Mm-hmm.
body to be able to hang. So definitely ended up taking jiu-jitsu, and here we are, almost just over 9 years into it, and we're still going. Touch and go
Hey.
for a while, but we're still going.
So like you're just sitting there, boom, 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 cardio kickboxing, and you like peek in the back room, like, what's going on back there?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
let's try
exactly.
this
And
then.
I mean, it was really intriguing, just like what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
To be completely frank, like the attractive men going in and out of there caught my eye, and then the jujitsu caught my eye. So,
I love how you're like, okay, let me be completely honest. I just saw some good looking dudes walking into the room and like, oh no, let's see what's going
well,
on back
like
there.
you follow them, and you're like, what on earth are they doing? And then there you go.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, I got you. Okay. So like, good job, good looking men. You got her into the sport.
Oh yeah, with your cauliflower ear,
It's
top notch, top notch.
it's funny because like when people see that, they have like that one or two reaction. It's like, oh God, no. Or it's like, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
My best
And
friend,
like,
she's like, I'm not there for the feet. Like the feet are too close to the face. I'm
oh my
like,
goodness.
okay,
I'm so
it's
glad you
not for
said
you.
that. That is me. Like, I will never be a heel hooker. I will never be anything. Like,
Oh, you're
even
missing on
going,
some good times then, Tori.
listen, even like going for like the most comfortable I am with are like knee bars. And that's too much. Like, I play a deep half game. So sometimes even going for like deep half and their other foot is like above me, I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know what it is. I am not a feet person either. So yeah, no, 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 no. No. And I get offended when other people try to touch my feet. So it's maybe this was not the sport for me.
Clearly it is, because you've been taking arms and taking names for like
Oh God,
a long time.
it's been Jesus. I think it's been my last tournament was like the one in summer before the pandemic. So like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got my purple belt. And then I did like one like team tournament, but like, yeah, nothing since like August of 2019, which is insane
Yeah, it's a
when I
long
think about it.
time. But I think it's been about the same for me too. I did the Las Vegas Open in
Mm-hmm.
2019 when it was World Masters, same
Okay.
days. And I don't think I've done a tournament since then.
Mm-mm. And like they were here, and I was like, oh, I know people are tired of hearing me complain about this. Like, I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. But I was like 40 pounds heavier than I am now. I had put on that pandemic weight and then some, and I hadn't trained since like I took like a 6 month break. Did you how long of a break did you take during like the whole pandemic?
So you could say that we didn't take a break, because that's the benefit of having a partner who
Mm-hmm.
also trains, and he probably loves jujitsu more than I do. He could do it every day for hours.
Okay.
He wants to travel and compete. Like, he's that guy. Me, I'm like,
Okay.
I just want to nap.
Roll every now and
But
then.
but for him, because we both trained, we did do the Zoom classes consistently,
Mhm.
because we were doing like a lot of back control, and we did a whole like lock series, and that was for easily like 4 or 5 months, because
Okay.
Colorado was pretty restrictive on when they could open gyms and whatnot, more than like
Okay.
Florida, for example.
Everyone's
And
more
then
restrictive than Florida. Everyone.
you guys are going rogue over
It's
there.
the it's like it's the South. It's like the Wild West. We do
Oh
not
yeah,
care.
yeah. But
Thanks,
we did
DeSantis.
some of that, and then we did, like I said, jujitsu in the park. We had like
Hmm.
at least 4 or 5 people that were just kind of like in our training pod that we would
Gotcha.
train with in the park. And it was, in the summer in Colorado, it's pretty nice.
Okay.
Sometimes too hot, but that we were able to kind of pull that off. But all we did was no gi. Like, I came back to training barely doing any gi in 2019,
Same.
and I was rusty.
Same.
So, but I mean, it was so hot. I'm not putting on a gi and training outside in like 80-degree weather.
Yeah.
That's gonna
No.
be a
No.
no
No.
for
No.
me.
I put my gi back on, and to me that's how I can tell when I gain or lose weight is when it comes time to tie that belt, and like how close am I to that black bar? Because that is described. And the first day I got back, it's like, all right, let's try this. And like, I was like, all right, I don't feel like I'm not putting pants on. I refuse to do it. So I had like some spats on. I was like, all right, I'll throw my jacket on. And I tell you, it was like my belt was like this. It was like this thing was barely tied. I was like,
I feel
ooh,
you, girl.
Tori.
I think
It's like,
everybody went through that though. Unless
yeah,
I mean, there are some anomalies, right? People who just like dieted or didn't go out drinking
yeah.
or didn't do anything, and they lost like a ton of weight.
Hmm.
And but more often than not, we're all eating our feelings.
Oh, definitely.
So got the
Definitely.
quarantine 15 or 20 or, you know, all those
However much came to you.
came to be, whatever was
I
meant to
think it was
happen.
like eating and then going through the entire catalog of like Hulu and Netflix, like just watching everything. I got to the point now where I don't even go to Netflix anymore because I feel like I'm done with it. I finished Netflix. I have seen everything on there. I've seen more
Oof.
documentaries than I have ever thought possible about everything. I think I'm done. I think I'm good.
Well, you're in for a
Um,
treat when you return because there's a lot going on there.
oh God.
They brought back America's Next Top Model, a couple episodes. They brought back,
Oh
they have the Great British Baking
Jesus.
Show, all 8 seasons.
Okay. All
Highly
right.
recommend.
Look, I was a person who like I love a good cooking show. I was like, I don't want to watch these British people. No, I don't want to watch them cook. Now I watch maybe like 5 minutes. Like, so this is what we're doing today.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's
There's
good, wholesome content and they're so
so
supportive of
much,
each other.
so
And I'm
much.
like,
Not
I need
we.
this.
I have between that. My sister has discovered what's the show where they're in, I don't know, young attractive people in a house they're dating. I feel
Is
like
it
that's
too hot to handle?
no, not that one. It's on
That is some
Hulu.
quality trash TV. You need
Oh,
some.
no, it's not that. It's some, oh my God, it's gonna drive me crazy. But like it's another dating show. And either
Mm.
on both of them, they're like, wait, there's no manipulation, there's no side deals, there's no talking. Are they really supporting?
Is
What
that
the
even
hell?
a reality TV show then?
I was honestly like shocked watching it. I was like, are Americans terrible? Is that what I've learned during the pandemic? That we're a little terrible?
No. If you watch RuPaul's Drag Race
Mm,
UK, like they are
there's a
catty.
UK.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I learned about this from a friend when I visited Florida a couple weeks ago, and I was like,
Did
"This
not
is
know
what I'm
that.
gonna do with my life now: is watch RuPaul's Drag Race."
That's a show I don't think I've watched since like I mean like early college, late high school, and I was obsessed with it. And then I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm good. Again, like I was like, I've maxed out on how much I can watch. Because then
Yeah.
at a certain point, it's like, look, I can't do this. I couldn't walk in heels. I still can't walk in heels. And like this just seems they're asking a lot of people in a very short amount of time. Like, nah. It's the same reason why I can't watch Queer Eye.
Oh yeah.
I feel like
That's
the
a good
division
wholesome show too.
it is, but I feel like the division of labor is all kind of out of whack. I feel like Bobby is the MVP who gets the least amount of credit.
Screen
Dude
time.
makes he makes whole houses. Like he does everything. And you know what? Okay, fine. All right, Karamo, you're fine, but he gives him a pep talk. It's not fair. Anywho, we're just like going down a whole other
We are
thing.
going down the rabbit hole. It's not really jujitsu. These
No,
listeners are gonna be
no,
like,
no.
listen, I'm gonna need
Um,
you to rein it back in and talk
that's why we
about
have
the
editing because this is what I end
oh,
up doing.
10 out of 10. Oh, love it, love it. Cool, then we're under no pressure. We can just make
Yeah,
this
we're
happen.
fine. We're fine. Okay, so you got into jujitsu. Boom, saw attractive guys, turned her head, saw them doing some MMA.
Should probably
Then
edit
you
that out. This makes me sound super vain. It was not the case. I
listen.
looked
I
that way because of
you just
that, but that's
you
not
just
what got me.
hey, look, whatever got you on your path, you're on it now. Doesn't matter. You're a happily married woman doing this
Mm-hmm.
sport. Okay, so let's fast forward. You're in the sport. How would things start going for you? Like, were you like in love with jujitsu right away? Did you kind of like gradually like fall in love with it? Were you how was like the overall experience being a newcomer into the sport?
Yeah, so I when I started training in Tampa, I had to have been like one of maybe 5 girls in the area that trained.
Okay.
So I was in, when we say predominantly male sport, like that was 100% the truth. And, I
Mm-hmm.
think jujitsu probably been only a few years out of the garage scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like where it was starting to get, ramp up in popularity.
Yeah.
So I definitely, I, I did fall in love with it, obviously, because I spent 3 hours a day training. And I ended up getting a
Oh,
job at Gracie Tampa in the front desk, like helping out with like sales and management and stuff like that. So clearly I was drinking the Kool-Aid because I was
yeah.
there all the time.
Gotcha.
And
It's easy to get wrapped up in it.
I think it is. And I've since we're talking about like body image and that's like the
Mm-hmm.
theme of this conversation.
Yeah. Let's get
I
into it.
I I've never been the a really heavy girl, but I've also never been like the really skinny girl. I've always been this like in between. And like these days, I like to call it sturdy, sturdy girl.
I like that one. I'm gonna get sturdy.
Sturdy. And I've always I've romanticized about being that like very thin feminine look, and being like feeling good about myself and being appealing to every guy, so on and so forth. So like when I started training, I by sheer nature of just doing jujitsu, right, we lose weight, especially when our bodies like we're shifting into high gear and we're doing this high intensity thing. Like I started to like lose weight, and that was a lot of my motivation for going to jiu-jitsu. And it was fun. It didn't feel like a workout, and I made so many friends, right? And I just I got wrapped up in that world, and it got to a point where it started to not help me, not serve me in the way that it needed to. And that's when it started to go south with my healthy habits, with my psyche, with my relationship to my body and myself. And that's where it kind of went, downhill.
Yeah. So when you like, I think this is something that I like to bring up to the point, because I'm a firm believer that nothing is like 100% going to be like the answer for you or beneficial. There's going to be pros and cons for everything. And jujitsu is one of those sports where we do get a lot of people who like jujitsu absolutely saved my life, and it's brought so many positivities to me. But it is also a competitive sport. It's one that we literally are pitting our bodies against other people's bodies. I feel like whenever you have something of that sort, it can turn negative. We can't obsess about it. And like you said, it can lead to unhealthy habits and behaviors. And one of the things we talked about in like one of our, 1,000 other interviews that we did together is that it did getting into jujitsu and getting into the sport caused you to develop unhealthy
Yeah.
habits with eating. And
Yeah.
you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I can take like my husband, for example, Gus. He's a brown belt as well, and he has such an affinity for jiu-jitsu, and he looks at it and he just wants to train all the time. He loves it. He loves meeting people. He loves to travel for it. Like he watches videos. He's insufferable almost in his like affinity sometimes for jiu-jitsu. And I, to a degree, have that, and I don't want to discredit everything that jiu-jitsu's given me. It's given me him, my husband. I have some amazing friends like Olivia and you, and just like the community that I have of support is fantastic. I have the most incredible mentors, Boyu, which a lot of people know in Florida, Tom, who is here in Colorado, Elliot and Ian, who are my professors, and Chris as well. I can't forget about him. He'll yell at me if he listens to this and I don't give him a shout out. Who've like evolved, like given me such an opportunity for growth, and I'm able to travel. I'm athletic, like I feel strong, and I'm empowered. All these things that jiu-jitsu does give you, but there is a reality to like my relationship with training. And I developed an eating disorder from cutting weight, from wanting to be healthy, like super skinny and super fit and be like a fighter, and making weight. And it I developed anorexia and bulimia. I became a binge eater as well by proxy, and I became a compulsive overexerciser. So I was probably really close to getting my blue belt. I think it was like October, November, and then in December I got my blue belt. And I had this motivation to make 125. Just I don't have to say numbers if you prefer. I didn't. It's up to you. Some people don't like me to talk about numbers.
That's fine.
And so like I was so gun ho on getting to that number, especially before my grandparents came to America from England. They hadn't seen me in a couple of years, and I wanted to like show like, look, I'm super healthy.
You're English.
Oh yeah. I'm English. That's like almost another life at this point, but I got to this number, but the reality is that I basically starved myself to get to that number. And I suddenly believed that like starving myself was going to be the way to go, and training myself was going to be the way to get to like the weights I wanted to be at, paired with like competition where I wanted to be in the lightweight division and all these things. And then with all that, I kept getting reinforced about how fantastic I look, like getting those compliments, like getting noticed by guys. At this time I didn't know Gus, so like I was like getting these reinforced comments fueling like that
Yeah.
behavior. And I made that weight, but I didn't um, I didn't realize what was happening to me until I tried to eat normal again. And when I started to try and eat normal again, I started to feel this like overwhelming guilt about eating a cookie or eating some fudge or eating, at evolutions in my recovery, I've gotten felt bad about eating chicken, protein, eating chicken with salt on it. It got really extreme. And it just, I wanted to, and in that same time, my life kind of went up into a big crux when I got my eating disorder, and like everything fell to the ground after that very quickly. But in that same time frame, I was also in a very toxic relationship, and I was punishing myself by purging and training too much and starving myself. So it became a really bad cycle for me, where I was just punishing myself, feeling guilty, lying to my family, lying to the person that I was with at the time, pushing my friends away. It was just, I was just so obsessed and so focused. Like all my energy was on this like eating disorder behavior that I just didn't live my life for, I swear, like a couple of years until I went into recovery. So.
Okay, there's a couple things in there. The reason I
Yeah,
wanted
it was a
to
long form answer.
no,
Sorry.
I'm glad you shared it. One of the things is I wanted you to say numbers because I think that's a huge issue. Is there's a certain number, and I've definitely been guilty of it. We feel that like once we hit this number, it fixes everything,
Like it
or it's like
quantifies our worth. Our number is attached
yes,
to a number on the scale. Yeah, a
like if
quantity
I
of
get
worth.
under here, I am going to feel fantastic. And I think what we don't take into account is how desperate we are to get to that number and the things we are willing to do to get to that number. I don't know. Me and my sister joke about this. It's like a common thing with like black families and trauma. You laugh when it's really not funny, but like I want to say a couple of years back when I had a terrible breakup and I was losing weight and I was like, I'm gonna lose weight before I go back for my graduation. I'm gonna look fantastic. And I remember we'd weigh in every Saturday or every Friday morning. And like the day before, like I would not eat anything. I wouldn't drink any water, but I'd also go out on a run in like a full sweatsuit. And I'm sitting here thinking like that's not real weight loss. That's insane. Like, and I did this for months, just trying to get to this certain number. And then I felt accomplished when I looked at it. And then I stepped off and I was like, okay, now what? Like no one else knows. But
Somewhere along the way, and I mean, let's be serious here. The eating disorder behaviors are just a byproduct of something deeper going on, right? And in my recovery and this long of like doing the work, I've kind of resolved that the root of my eating disorder is around like worry, the fear of not being loved and not being worthy. And you look at a number on a scale and you just think, right, if I hit that number, I'm going to have everything I want. I'm going to be desired. I'm going to be loved. I'm going to love myself. All these things, like if I get to that number, and then you just focus all of your energy on like trying to get there, whether it's healthy or not. And for me, it wasn't healthy. And I don't even know how much I weigh right now. I don't weigh myself anymore. And that's probably why I don't compete really anymore, because it just takes me back to this place that I'm not a good person. I'm a right asshole when I'm cutting weight or trying to make weight. And Gus is like, I don't like you when you're doing this. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to do it. So, yeah.
It's part of that is like you say you're losing your way. I think at least for me, it gets tied back to that positive reinforcement. When I have a number, then I can tell people how much I lost. Like, oh, I've lost like 50 pounds. And they're like, oh my God, you lost 50 pounds. Like, yeah, but I lost 50 pounds in the span of like 2 months. Maybe not the best way to go about it.
I feel like that's a lot for like a weekly drop,
I've lost upwards of like 60 to 80 pounds like 4 times in my life. And sometimes it's been sometimes it's been gradual, and sometimes it's been like I said, from that little span I left from college, I lost about 65 pounds, maybe even more than that, between February and May. Yeah, I dropped a lot of weight. I went from my heaviest to my smallest in that span. And again, like you said, it was a deeper root. It came from coming out of a toxic relationship. And then even toxic relationships, there's that loss that you have. So you're trying to cope with all that at once, and you find one particular area that you can control, and then you just go for it. 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 And then you just eating, exercise. I was an over exerciser too.
Hmm.
Just, you know what? I'm just gonna go. It's not funny. I'm gonna go bust this run out. I'm gonna go do 2 miles in a sweatsuit and a sweat with like the cutting
Yeah.
suit with, long sleeves in summer in Florida. That sounds like a great idea. No, that's dumb. But nothing in my brain would have told me anything different.
Hmm.
And again, a lot of it had to do with as I was losing weight, as I was losing weight, I was getting so much positive reinforcement from people, kind of like confirming one of my biggest fears is that like my worth was tied to my size and how I looked. And as I got
Hmm.
smaller, I got more attention. And
Yep.
like on the one hand, that's great, but on the other hand, it was kind of devastating. I was like, well, why wasn't I getting attention or
Yeah.
praise
Because
when I
when
was
people
bigger?
do that, you're like, so this is how I have to live in order to
Yeah.
get the love I want. And you're like, right, I have to, and that's it. That's what fuels an eating disorder. And people think that complimenting the weight is helpful. And like, though they come from good intentions,
Mm-hmm.
they reinforce, like, you don't know what they're doing,
Yep.
that person that you're complimenting, what they're doing to do that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't know that they're training 3 hours a day and ingesting less than 1,000 calories, right? They don't know what's happening behind the scenes, and you might be reinforcing something that can possibly kill them
Mm-hmm.
in an extreme circumstance, of course.
Yeah, and of course
um
we're not saying don't get healthy. We're not saying that,
yes.
there's definitely we're not saying there's definitely benefits of losing weight. There's definitely reasons to lose weight. There's healthy ways to go about it.
Hmm.
But I do think we, as a society, as a culture, especially in something like jujitsu, where it is a weight-based sport, we have to be careful with how we compliment and how we, I won't say shame, but like the words we say when people are gaining weight. Because I think that's a whole other span. Like, ooh, getting
Yeah.
a little thick there. You feeling a little heavier than normal. Like those kind of things, especially
Hmm.
I feel like for women, not that men don't have eating disorders. We know they do. Wrestlers, we
Like,
know
I need to
we.
put that disclaimer in there.
Oh yeah,
They do, yes, we're not
they
going to
do.
discredit that, but
But women have a lot more attention focused. That tie between their self worth and body. I feel like more so than men. And for some reason, people feel like they have a lot more agency to like freedom to comment on women's body on a level that I will never understand. They feel like it's perfectly okay to tell someone that like, oh, look, you're picking up a little weight. Like, oh, you've lost. Weird. Okay,
like,
thank you.
like it, yes. And I think that not to like shift gears, but I think when it is important as a female to have a coach and a mentor and a climate that you train in that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't like support that vanity that you're talking about right now, that you're going to get compliments for losing weight, you're going to get compliments for looking better, all these things. Like, I think that's part of the reason why I'm still training, is because I changed my environment
Mm-hmm.
and I went to a place that I could just be without judgment, and um, it made me keep coming back,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've done that. I've been at so many different schools since I started jiu-jitsu, and not by choice, right?
Yeah,
A
life
lot of it was
happens.
life happens. Getting my purple belt from Ybor City Jiu-Jitsu Club from Joey
Okay.
and Chris, who are fantastic people. Getting my brown belt from Buyu at
Mm-hmm.
Castle Grace in Miami, and hopefully my black belt whenever that happens, from the Easton family as
Mm-hmm.
well, and hopefully with Buyu being there at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna keep cracking on until it happens. But I
Okay.
think each environment has something different to give to
Mm-hmm.
me, but they all have supported me in one way or another. That's kept me training.
Yeah, that goes back to that's a whole other issue of I feel like it's nice when you have one training place that you've like I've always been with Brian at Grappling Master. That's been my
Mm-hmm.
gym from the beginning. But and me and Brian have talked about this too, and he's told other people this. If you feel like you're missing something from your environment or it's not the right environment for you, please just leave. I mean, we get really we and it makes
Mm-hmm.
sense because you're doing jujitsu, which can be very intense. You physically and emotionally get very close to people.
Mm-hmm.
You see people cry on the mats. People put it all like put everything into
Mm-hmm.
training, and so we get bonded with these people. But at the same time, that can be negative. That could be a negative bond too. But I think people are so closely tied to this idea of loyalty, and I want to stick to my coach and my trainer from day
Mm-hmm.
one, and da da da. No, you can leave. You can go and
Yeah.
find a better environment, and sometimes environments change. Like it may have been great when you started, and over time it shifted to something a little not so great.
Mhm.
And I think that's something that feeds all of this, is sometimes we get so tied down and like, oh well, these are my people, I can't leave my people.
Mhm.
And
Like
like,
a
no,
sense of
leave the people.
loyalty.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Keeps a lot
yeah,
of people in toxic places.
I totally agree. And I think that's a really valid comment to make. Like, you should go where the environment makes the most sense for you. If you have a
Hmm.
competitive nature, perhaps like a competitive school is where you want to be. If you have a family, you want to go a place where it's good for kids and good for
Hmm.
adults. Like, for me, I needed an emotionally available coach because I am unfortunately a very emotional person, and I need that.
There's
Maybe it's
nothing
not a
wrong with
bad
that.
thing, but it is
No,
the
it's
reality of
nothing's
my
wrong with that.
situation. And I look to my professors for support because
Hmm.
they have been where I've been, and they've had the frustrations with training that I've had. And
Hmm.
granted, my scenario is a little bit more complex, so I need someone who will just listen and not
Hmm.
necessarily judge or try to understand. And back when I first started training, black belts were a little less common,
Yep.
and you would almost look at a black belt and think they were like a god, right?
Hmm.
Especially when you're a brand new female white belt and
Yep.
you don't have anything to look up to except this person. You kind of put them on a pedestal. And it was valid then, and it's still valid now. As a black belt, you have a duty to be a good person, to
Hmm.
not manipulate your students, to be just there to
Hmm.
support them, and be a mentor. You have a black belt, you've done the work. Like, you just need to now people are going to look up to you and seek you out for advice and for companionship and for mentorship. And I think people forget that. They get so wrapped up, and they and I'm not going to say like every black belt's a bad person. That's not true at all. But I know
No,
that there are people out there that take advantage. And as a
absolutely.
black belt, your responsibility is to be there for the people below you who look up to you.
It's funny because, like, I think maybe like halfway through the pandemic, I put a post up like this. Is like, when I entered into this sport, I was so naive thinking that like people who did jujitsu were inherently good people, because like they talk, because come on, when you first get here, they give you the spiel of like how jujitsu is so great, and all
Mm-hmm.
the positives and all that, and then slowly I realized, like,
It's a
you
weird
know
ass subculture.
it is but like, in the other stands, like, it is just like every other aspect in the world. Like, you have a group of people who are coming together to do something, and whenever you have groups of people, good and bad people are going to be a part of that group. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, to think that that jujitsu is exempt from having bad people and having manipulators, or having that, like, that's insane to think, because it's like, no, we like to think it weeds people out, but bad people can be great at jujitsu.
Yeah, I mean, we can
And
just talk about the Gordon Ryan Garval face slap. This one
I
of them's at fault. I don't know which one. I didn't pay enough
listen,
attention.
that's my one thing, is I don't watch very much. I watch basically no, like, the pro, like, no gi jujitsu. I don't really watch it. But I don't watch a lot of live I don't watch a lot of jujitsu in
I'm the same
general,
way.
except
I just not in that into it.
it's a participatory sport for me. It's not a sport that I want to watch, because, like, especially high level. eh, but it's like, I get, like, some people love it. It's not for me. But the thing that kills me is, like, are you two grown men in a sport that you can literally fight each other, about to fight online, or fight in a hallway? Like, what are you doing? You're not
It's like,
gonna
there's a
fight.
stage right over there.
Yeah, like,
Like, what are
you
we doing?
literally get paid to do, like, this is your job. So just do it. Squat. I don't get it. So I can't feed into that. I don't get it, man. Jiu-jitsu beefs are the lamest things in the world to me. Because, like, at the end of the day, like, jiu-jitsu is great. I'm not, like, I am a jiu-jitsu person. But at the end of the day, it's a sport within the subcategory of fighting, but it's a type of fighting that excludes a lot of things. So when people get really tough and like, man, I'll kick your ass, and da, 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 I was like, yeah, I'll kick your ass, which within a particular rule set. Anything outside of that, I could not kick it. Like, is that not weird? Like, I just don't like the ego that
They can just
I
do
don't.
combat jujitsu, do some face slaps, since that seems to
Again,
be
like,
like what
you
they're
can do
doing.
that. Do just like, you can settle this. Like, you literally
Yes.
have a venue to settle this, but you're choosing to. And it's a financial decision too. People like to get into the beefs and they like all that. I don't. That's part of the reason why I don't do any of that. And plus, anytime I try, like, oh, who's this person, and I go to their social media and I do like 4 scrolls down their post, like, oh shit, they're these kind of, yeah, yeah, no, I don't need to know anything else about them because it will ruin. Same thing, like
I hear you.
I'm a huge MMA fan, and I can't dive too deep into the personal lives of some of these, like really follow them because I'm like, shit, you're one of those. Okay, never mind. The only thing that I do is like I watch for any of the people who are like outwardly racist and homophobic, and then like outwardly have issues with like sexual violence or domestic violence. Any of those people, I just simply like, I have whole UFC cards I've wanted to watch. Like, oh, he's in the oh, I'll watch a clip later. I'm not ordering this fight. But yeah, they're just, man, people are so lame. Like they try to be so cool, and it's, dude, you're arguing in spandex, bro. Sit down, calm yourself.
Yeah, and I think it's true for like those like jujitsu celebrities, right? They
Mm-hmm.
are human beings with four limbs and a head. They bleed like we do. They break like we do. Like there's and they have flaws like we do. And putting people on a pedestal is not conducive for anybody. Like
And a lot of them are like in their, like, we think they're older, but a lot of them are like in their early to mid 20s, where you're prone to be like
a dick.
possibly
I
the
was a
worst.
dick when
Yeah,
I
a
was in
dick.
mid-20s.
Yeah, like
You know,
it's, you're not a good person during this time. It's like it's like you're a teenager, only now you can legally drink and curse and no one can really say anything about you. So like you're not a great person during that time. I'm sorry, men. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Like that's not the highlight of your life. Like you are not great people during that time. So you have all of this fame, all of this. Well, I'm not gonna say all of this money because come on, jujitsu. You have all this fame. You have some money, but you have a lot of notoriety. And someone sticks a camera in your face. Like, yeah, this isn't gonna be a good situation. I don't want to watch that. But
and I think that if you wanted to tie it back to um, the eating disorder stuff, like I definitely just did not present the best version of myself when I was like deep in my eating disorder. And to be frank, like I don't think I really like grew out of it until I was 25. So
mhm,
really it took like 4 or 5 years before I started to be a better version of myself.
mhm,
And that was, it took a lot of work. That's a lot of a therapy, a lot of meditation, a lot of working with a nutritionist.
mhm,
I worked with the 12 steps as well. I did a lot of things to become a better version for people to be around. And I
mhm,
think what I did notice is that people still wanted to be around me, even though I wasn't 125,
mhm,
and still wanted to be in my company.
mhm,
And I learned very quickly that the story that I thought was happening is really just being crafted by me, and the work that is really going on needs to be done internally. And that's really just been the result of the last 4 years of my recovery, is trying to, not to sound cheesy, but like love myself.
how we're here for the cheese. It
We're here for the
it
cheese. And
but
I'm
it's,
not, go ahead,
go ahead.
sorry.
No, 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 go ahead.
No, and I want to call it to people like I'm 9 years into this, so my recovery equals my jujitsu journey, and I have taken time off from training. I mean, even in COVID, I was in this space like, am I training? Am I not training? And being in this weird gray space where like I felt guilt to have to train because I wanted to lose weight.
Mhm,
I wanted to keep up with everybody else because I noticed very quickly that people who were a lower rank than me were promoting to black belt at this point.
mhm,
And I was like, I can't fall behind. Like just motivations that just were not.
yep,
I just find the joy in jujitsu let me train. And I was like, and I was in this really weird place where I was like, no, I didn't want to train, but I forced myself to. And
mhm,
I was trying to diet, and I mean, I'm 9 years into this and I was fucking trying to cut weight for what? There was no
yeah,
tournaments to cut for. And I was almost gonna like just kind of quit back in the fall of last year.
mhm,
But thankfully I have a good support system. I have a nutritionist and a therapist that are fantastic. And I managed to like do some work with her, and I
mhm,
said, right, I'm gonna go and train twice a week for a month, and I'm just gonna go whether I want to go or not, and
mhm,
find the joy. I changed my location where I was training because Easton has multiple locations.
mhm,
I went to a place where nobody knew me except my coach, and like I just went and I got the joy back. And I may not be the skinniest I've been. actually probably on the heavier side because I've been doing the other byproduct of joy of an eating disorder is the hormone issues you get and the weight problems. Super exciting. And but I feel super strong and I'm rolling like a monster.
That's
And I
awesome.
feel like I'm evolving my brown belt in the direction I want it to go, rather than like just not training and losing everything. So my point of that long form answer is that the work is continuous all the time, and I have to take time off from social media in January so that I cannot see diet culture. I have to make sure my mom doesn't talk about her diet to me on the phone when I call her, and just like protect myself so I can make sure I don't take 5 steps back in the work that I've done over the course of the past almost decade.
Hey, we are all for creating boundaries. More people need to make them. Um, what is, oh, you said something I wanted to say, think about. Crap, it floated away.
Need a notepad.
Yeah, I do. Like, it'll come to me later, and I'll edit this pause part out. But
So good. We'll pause for a moment.
It's like,
and then restart it again.
No, I'm gonna remember it after I hang up. He's like, damn it, that's what I wanted to ask you about. But no, it's. I'm glad you said that it is a continuous thing because, like you said, a lot of us think once, similar to like when we lose weight, we think it's going to solve everything. I think we feel like once we get a therapist or get a nutritionist, or once we get someone to help us and we learn kind of the root of everything, it's like, okay, now it's done, we're good. And like, no, you didn't get this way overnight, so it's not going to be fixed overnight. It's everything is a continuous process. And I remembered, I'm glad what you said about like how you're developing into your black belt and now you feel like you're rolling like a beast.
Black belt,
brown belt, my bad.
Now.
my bad oh my god, don't, please everyone, don't kill me. But you're developing into your brown belt and you're rolling a little bit differently, you learn a bit stronger. I think that's something that we need to realize too, that what our game is in the beginning, it's very rare that's going to be our game in the end. Like we're going to develop throughout it. And as your body shifts, your style may shift too. And that's okay. So like maybe you started out and you were pulling guard and you were throwing flying stuff and all that. Maybe you picked up a couple. It's like, my leg's not going to go that high. And that's developed, that made you start, working on your shots more. And that might be a whole other element to it. So I think there is benefits to like gaining and losing weight throughout the sport opens up so many other options of the type of jiu-jitsu that you can focus on.
Yeah. I used to believe that like inverting and like berimbolo would have been my game. And
overrated.
Mostly didn't want to do that because my neck has problems. So I don't like to invert that much anymore. But I love Spider, Shallow Lasso, De La Hiva, like all of that series, and I bounce between those, and those have gotten better as I've gotten stronger because my legs are stronger. My leg lock game is super proficient now, and I think I can I think I have better control because I have stronger legs now. So there's some benefits to like being a little bit thick, I think. But I mean, I'm not. It's not peaches and cream, right? I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, fuck, should be a little bit skinnier right now. But a lot of the time now, I've taught myself to look at the mirror and be like, and then walk away instead of saying,
like, we're not going to linger here. We're just gonna, that's it. Everything's there and bye.
I was like, do I have all my clothes on before I go outside? Great, let's go. Did I cover my black eye enough? Which I do have a black eye. I'm glad you guys can't tell.
Oh my goodness. Okay, you're good. Where did that come from?
This is what happens when you play leg locks and you go hard on the paint. You get a heel to the face.
See, again, this goes back to my theory though. Just don't do leg locks. It benefits no one, but okay, sure.
It does. It is.
Oh my god, you got a heel to the face.
It.
Oh my god.
I mean, it's a hazard of the sport, right?
You have someone's foot, the boot of their foot is in your eye. Oh, don't think about that.
It was my eyebrow right here, actually. It grazed it. But thankfully I have bangs and makeup and glasses
there you go.
Right now. And this filter on my face. So you can't really tell that it's there.
So you you planned. You had a plan set for like, they're never gonna know until I reveal it. Okay. It's funny, when I got into the sport, I was convinced I was going to be like a double leg person. I was like, I'm going to be, because I came
double leg takedowns.
Yep. Because I loved wrestling. So I was like, that's going to be my thing. I'm going to be a blast double person. Keep in mind, I mean, tall people could absolutely shoot, but like, keep in mind, I'm 6'1", and the average height in my division is like 5'7". So like
Mm.
for me to drop that far to get this, like maybe this isn't for me. And I stubbornly did it for like 2 straight years until my coach was like, you know, single legs are probably easier, or just tosses. And I worked so hard to do these double legs, and then literally like 2 months into doing singles and tosses, it was like, damn, I wasted some time, huh? Okay,
I
maybe
just
that was
I
not meant
just
for
pull
me.
guard these days.
No.
Not proud of it. I do like wrestling, but I also have a fear of it because of my neck and
Mm, that
some
makes, yeah.
PTSD from breaking my tailbone when I was white belt. So
Wait,
I
what? You broke your tailbone?
I don't know, stupid white belt shit. Who
Oh,
knows?
that's
I
not
started
funny.
doing
It's
judo instead, and that's also
okay.
painful.
See, I was oddly like anti-judo for so long, and I don't
Judo
know
is a
why.
good time though. It's just
I
painful. You're
yeah,
throwing the earth at you, literally.
it's
So
and then I would like look at a judo class like, so y'all just throw each other over and over again, and I fall very weird. Like I'm that person where, you know how like on reflex you like you tense up or you like stop.
mhm.
In the 6.5 years of me doing jujitsu, that has not changed. When we're drilling like takedowns and someone goes to like throw me, my instinct is to bear all my weight to the ground. Like, no, I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to do. Okay, 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 I'm good. Okay, go. And as I fall, I'm just like, oh, I'm not a good partner
my
for
old
practicing.
coach, my old coach, that he always used to tell us to close our eyes so that we don't brace for the floor. We don't know when the floor is coming, and it helps you bounce easier. Did work. It's an idea.
Oh my god, like the way my anxiety is set up, that might be the worst thing that I could do. Oh god, no.
I don't know what to tell you.
No, it's again like it just goes to my thing. Just never. I feel bad because when like we have certain white belts that come in, they don't know my brand of humor. Um, so when they're like, "Oh, well, how do I do this?" Like, you just don't get taken down. They're like,
Obviously.
they're like, how do no, oh no, I'm just saying no, no, you're gonna fall eventually. It's fine. They're like, "Oh yeah, I'm having really like, what's your favorite guard?" It's like, who goes in guard? You're only in guard if you mess up. And I just like walk away and like, Torrie, don't tell them, oh no, I'm sorry, guard is great, yay, lots of people love guard, it's perfectly, is wonderful, it's trash, don't do it. But that's like super heavyweight Torrie talking, that like it's never great to have anyone close to my size and like on you in your guard, because like, all right, here we go, let's
Yeah. And
whoosh.
I can feel for both sides of the fold, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I my one of my coach Joey or Professor Joey at Ybor City always used to make the bigger guys play guard for the majority of their first year because a larger person can pass a guard probably pretty easily in the grand
Mm-hmm.
scheme of things, but the work needs to be done from the bottom, right, from the
Mm-hmm.
guard player. And I think I think it was a really smart approach. And I can
Yeah.
feel for both sides, right? Like just like moving around when you're a larger person or being a small person and having to fight people who are stronger than you. Like
Mm-hmm.
I can feel for both sides. And I think that's where it's fascinating to see people evolve into their game depending
Yep.
on their size, and what the fixes that they find, to solve for their problems, right? And that's the coolest thing about it is it's like never the same for anybody. Similarly to a diet, right, or to
Yep.
size, like there's no one size fits all. Um, I mean, even I have some things that I've been teaching a training partner at Easton. Things that have helped me like get things accomplished, and they might
Mm-hmm.
look a little dirty tricks, but like when you're in north south
It's
and you
not
have a
cheating, but
Kimura,
it's not.
it's not cheating, but like if I'm in north south with a Kimura grip and they're
Mm.
holding on, the strong person's holding on really tight to that arm, I drop my elbow in the rib cage and then they usually let go and I can take it's in like Mario Sperry stuff. It's like proper dirty tricks, but it's top notch if you need to get the job done. So like things like that, like I figured out
Yeah.
because I'm a small, I guess from a grand scheme of things, I am a small person,
Mm-hmm.
compared to like a dude. But I'm
Yeah.
also like I think that's the one good thing about being sturdy is that I can roll with small girls and I can roll with big girls too, and I can hang with both.
Mm-hmm.
And I can also beat up skinny white belt dudes
There
too.
you go.
So, and
That's
sometimes I'm a lucky big white belt
there
dudes.
you go. That's so that's I'm gonna say right after I hit purple, that's basically what Brian had me doing is I started on bottom every time.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's someone in a higher belt than me, we can start from like a neutral, or unless we're working from standing. But if we're just
Mm-hmm.
doing like rolling or starting from the ground, like I would always start in the bottom. And then that's how I realized I like deep half. Because like why else would I ever be there? There's no reason.
Mm-hmm.
And especially deep half specifically for me, because like between my length and then like the sheer size of my
And
thighs.
probably your strength too.
Oh yeah, like I don't even have to be good at deep half, but like just me trying to physically put my body under theirs,
More
nine
power
times out
to
of
you.
ten.
I hate deep
Yeah.
path guard.
Oh,
I
I
ain't
love
hanging
it.
out there.
The only time it's really bad, like I refuse to do it, is like in no-gi with like some of the bigger, sweatier guys. Like I just don't want their junk kind of like sitting on the side of my neck,
You
and they're
can't
just
think
like,
about that stuff. You
I
just gotta
can't
keep going.
help but to think about it because like again, we're in Florida, we have some sturdy dudes here, and they're so sweaty. So it's like all of a sudden
Sturdy. I love it.
they're and they're sweaty. So it's like all of a sudden it's like fine, 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 here, swap. I'm like, nope, we're not gonna do this time. We're gonna smooth this over real quick. But you know, I love my training partners, so they're fine.
No,
Um,
I get it. I mean, dudes need to wear something under their gi, their no
Jesus
gi shorts.
Christ. Well, that's why I tell them it's like, you know what? That's why I I've started just like we finally got a weight room in our gym. So like half the time I'm just working out in like my shorts and a sports bra because like, I don't care anymore. It took me a while to get here, but I don't care if my stomach shows. I don't care if my thigh shows. Most of my training shorts are like this big because they're more comfortable. But it's funny because some of the younger guys, you know, they're like 18, they're like, Torrie, like, why is she? They're out. I was like, if I have to look at your bare, sweaty chest during gi because you don't want to wear a rash guard, you are perfectly fine seeing me in a sports bra. You're good. Let's just we're fine here.
See, I'm the opposite when it comes to nogi. I like to be like covered, kind of like I
Mm-hmm.
like a long sleeve rash guard and I like spats because I just one don't like to be super slippery,
Mm-hmm.
and which is odd, right? You would rather be slippery, and then I just don't like to expose more of my skin to staph.
That's true.
But that's just me.
I completely switched from when I started. When I started, I always wore spat. I was like spats and long sleeve or spats and short sleeves. But now I almost never wear spats. All my spats are only used for like Muay Thai. I wear shorts and not just like again, I'm all legs. So like I don't wear just like shorts. I wear shorts. They come halfway through my leg. They're always more comfortable. But I do wear long sleeves.
do
Which
you
creates
do you
that
find do you find that your body image, because of your change in perception of body image, has changed, like that kind of came with it,
oh,
that shift?
absolutely. I think if you look on my Facebook page for like Torrie the Grappler, my pinned post is like me training and doing Muay Thai in shorts. And I put it up there because like I want to say right at the beginning of making the Mighty Dames, I started wearing shorts again. And before that, I hadn't worn shorts in like a decade. I did not wear shorts. And we're talking
Yeah.
like summer, Florida. I'm walking out in jeans. Like
Mm,
I did not like to show my legs. And during this time, like, we were talking, I was much smaller than I am now, but I did not like showing my legs.
that's fair.
I I felt very exposed. And one day there was this pair of jean shorts, and I was like, I'm just gonna wear them. And I just put them on, like, okay, we're gonna go to the store in some shorts above my knee. Everyone prepared for like I was like prepping
You were
myself
prepared. Yeah,
up.
you probably crafted this whole story that people are gonna comment and like stare at you, and I get that
No.
nobody gave any fucks about it.
And if anything, it turned into the complete opposite. It was more like, oh, Tori, again, you're getting that positive reinforcement. It was one of those things that I was so convinced that people were going to be disgusted by my body because it's large and it's like again like I'm very tall. I have very long arms, I have very long legs, a very short torso. I'm oddly proportioned, but it works too. So I just thought like if I go out in shorts, this is not gonna be a good look. So I got comfortable wearing shorts out in public. And then training, I always wore spats and then a pair of shorts on top of it because most of my weight settles at my thighs, hips, and ass. So I was like, okay, well, the spats are gonna be too tight. So I need to put some looser shorts on top of it to kind of like hide it a little bit. And then I found these really cute pair of shorts that came like mid thigh. And I thought they were so cool and I wanted to wear them. So I wore them to training one day and like besides having to like pick them, pull them down a couple times, it was fine.
Fine.
It was so much more comfortable because on top of that, I used to layer too. So I wear like a singlet, Then I put my shorts on. I mean, then I put my spats on. Then I put my shorts on. So I have 3 layers of clothes on, which is just, it was heavy. It was just hot. And
Mm-hmm.
then, yeah, eventually I was like, I'm just going to go. I just, maybe in the last, even with COVID, like in the last year or so, I stopped wearing my spats under my shorts when I would go like no gi. Because even then I used to do that because I was so afraid, like, oh, what if my pants fall down, like my underwear show a little bit, or what if they slide too far up and like an ass cheek pops out. Like I was really, really, really self-conscious about that. And then it literally, for some people it's a gradual thing. With me, it was literally like one day I was like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
Yeah,
what are they gonna say? What are
I'm still in that gradual phase. I do not like wearing shorts when I train.
it literally
Really.
hit me. I was like, what are they going to say to me? It is not, I am not being indecent. I'm not out here training a thong or anything. Like, it's not like I'm out there. It's like, okay, shorts right up sometimes. Okay, that's about it. Like that is, and I don't know where it came from. It just clicked. Like, Tori, you're allowed to wear whatever you want as long as you're
Mm-hmm.
not like being super inappropriate, considering there's kids that'll be in your training area. And once that clicked, I honestly cannot. I think like yesterday was the last time I wore spats, and before that to kickboxing, and before that I couldn't. I only wear them
Hmm.
for like working out.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's I that's what I'm glad you talked about, how like it's a gradual process. And I thought like once I started the Mighty Dames, it was going to solve everything. I was like, oh, yes, we're going to be talking about positive body image and self confidence and body confidence and belief and your self worth. No, like I struggle with it still. It's still
Yeah.
it's a weird thing. And then once I became a voice in this space, I felt like I had to project this image of always being okay with my body because I had other
Hmm.
people watching me.
Yeah, because you have like
I
imposter syndrome. Like you have to present like the
Yeah.
best version of yourself put together, and
Hmm.
and that's probably why I haven't been more vocal about this sort of stuff. Similarly to you, which is why I admire you so much for like
Oh.
bringing this to the forefront, because I just like, right, if I'm going to tell people about my experience, and I have to have my shit together, and I am still trying to get my shit together. I still have like a practice where I have to like course correct my mind so I don't
Hmm.
go down a spiral and like shit like that. I don't wear shorts when I train because I'm scared of like the way my legs look. So I mean,
Hmm.
so I'm with you. It's definitely a gradual process.
And the other thing is like I found that, how you said, I felt like I had to be together. I had to be, Tori, the founder, the head of my dance. I had to be so solid in how I perceive myself, in body confidence, in body image. And then what I learned is people don't want this idea of perfection. They want a reality because, like you said, it goes in ebbs and flows. It's not going to be consistently good because you hit a certain point in your life. So I started sharing my bad days as well, because I felt like I was lying to the group because I kept saying, oh, I feel great, and da-da-da. And I was like, actually, I have to take a month away from everything. I can't be on social media. I can't do this. I feel really bad about myself. I'm struggling with
Mm-hmm.
my appearance, especially when the pandemic hit and I was depressed for a while. And we were eating our feelings. I picked up so much weight, and then I hadn't been in front of a camera. And then I got back in the camera and I could see the difference in my face. And I was sitting there thinking like, okay, instead of pretending that all is good, let me tell people that, hey, I got to take a little social media break. I got to do a self check. I need to get myself
Mm-hmm.
right. That way other people know that, like, I mean, I don't know, it's weird the position I am in. Cause like, I like to show that like, even me, not even, that sounds weird to say, but like, I have to take breaks. I can't
Mm-hmm.
be I can't be an example all the time. I can't be like, even though I am pretty optimistic most of the time, but I can't do it. I can't be on
Yeah.
all the time, and people should take breaks. So I realized like when I shared with people like, hey, I'm kind of struggling right now. I think I'm gonna take a pause. I got
Mm-hmm.
more I got more feedback on that than a lot of my things about like, oh yeah, look at my thighs, throwing them out there. It was more
Yeah.
people like, oh my God, I'm glad you said that because
Yeah.
it's been a journey over here for me too. It's like,
I think
okay.
that authenticity is important, and
Hmm.
it actually has to be trained into
Hmm.
people because people are alarmed or surprised by it a lot of the time. I just taking an example, I back before the pandemic, I think Easton does these crazy months where it's competition training like every
Hmm.
night, and you when you're training for a competition, and like there's a time when you just go into a dark place, like you're just like, fuck all this, I am hungry, I am tired,
Mm-hmm.
I ache, I don't want to train, like all these things. And I was in the locker room with some of my training partners, and there was this girl who um is she's super talented, purple belt, and she was in that dark place. And I said something to her like, you need to be kinder to yourself. And this is the
Mm-hmm.
shit that I say to myself every day. And she said something like, I admire how put together you are and how much you always positive. And I'm like, I said to her, I was like, oh no, not at all.
No, no,
Like
no, honey.
I'm like, I say this stuff to myself all the time because I have to. Like, you should hear my internal dialogue. And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, I almost wish you hadn't said that, because I always just expected you had like your shit together. And I'm like, oh,
Oh, honey.
listen, listen, girl.
Little do you know.
Little do you know, there is some chaos happening up in here. You know what I mean? And I think it and I since she said that, I definitely try and be a little more honest, particularly on social media, because
Mm-hmm.
I have a really good life here in Colorado. I go snowboarding, I go hiking, like I have a really fucking cute dog and a really handsome husband who's talented. Like I have a good life.
Off of the dog came before the husband.
Yes, because he's number one. My fluffy dog
Okay.
is number one.
Okay.
Just kidding. He was a saving grace in 2020, that's for sure. But
Mm-hmm.
I have a good life, and like people tend to portray the best versions of themselves from the best angle on Instagram and Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really not like that. And every time you're authentic, it takes people by guard, or people say, I appreciate your honesty. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
everybody should just be fucking honest. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we don't have our shit together at
Yep.
all. None of us do. We all have our own demons that we're trying to battle.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can provide any little nugget of insight, not necessarily a goal, like a practice or a task list to solve the problem, but if I say, I noticed this, like, can this stem some thought for you and make your
Mm-hmm.
life a little bit easier? Mm. I mean, when I first went to OA, or Overeaters Anonymous, I actually went to a speaker meeting where this is where somebody tells their story from start to
Mm-hmm.
finish. And I remember she just started talking, and I started crying because her thought process, everything she was going through, like it sounded like me. And that was my decision to start getting healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, to bring it back to the authenticity, like, can your honest statement to somebody make an impact with someone to change their life and
Yep.
save themselves?
And that's exactly why I started being more open. And especially when I don't know what I thought my average base or age was when I started looking more like my actual demographics and looking at the stuff. When I realized that there's a good chunk of people who were following me, following Dames, were young. And I was getting messages from people who were, that's my mom, you see her floating through the background.
Oh. It's okay.
um,
So you need a Zoom background.
there you go. But I was realizing like there's a lot of young people who are following me, young girls. And I know how much I struggled when I was younger. Um, and the only people I had were people on television and on computers. And again, they were only showing positive parts unless it was like a very special episode.
With a
But
filter.
yeah, and then like on TV, they have like they're mostly okay. They have one episode of something being really dark, but the next week they're perfectly fine. Everything's normal. So I felt like it was important to portray my reality in the hopes that other people can see that like you can be a full-fledged person that has bad, terrible days, but you can rebound or it can linger a little bit. But the totality of it is not. As long I feel like it's and my whole thing is as long as it's a net positive, I'll take that win. Like as long as overall, when it's all said and done, we're more up than down. Okay, I'll
Yeah,
take you. You
exactly.
can run. I can still see you.
Yeah, I hear you. The body image discussion in particular, and the body dysmorphia, like basically, what you want to call a pandemic, maybe that's a little extreme, but like that is kind of what it is. Everybody has some level of body dysmorphia.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, I have good days and I have bad days. And to this day, I still fall down on the floor completely hopeless. But as you evolve and you get older, you find these little tools that you can put in your backpack that help you get up a little bit faster and maybe fall a little bit less hard, and
Yep.
that's where we're at.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
Oh my God. I love talking to you. Like maybe that is like my subconscious, like, if this one doesn't work, you can always talk to her
Yes, this is
again.
true.
But
You have editing tools now, so
hey,
you've got
there
all
we
the things
go.
at your disposal.
There you go. But no, thank you so much for coming back and having this conversation with us. Again, I think it is, and like I said, I know you don't really talk that much about it, and
Maybe I
here
should.
we always do, we'll always show you in a respectful manner. But I think your story in particular about like some of the issues that arrived through the sport, and at the same time you were still able to find a path to recovery while still doing the sport, even though
Mm-hmm.
you took breaks in a while. I think that's important, because I think some people think in order to get, quote unquote, better, they have to quit everything and start a different way.
Yeah.
But
And people are going to tell you that. I've had
mhm,
too many people tell me you should probably quit. And I'm like, this thing brought me joy. It can still bring me joy. I just have to remove the pieces that are bringing me
yep,
to that dark place, change
exactly.
them. So I think if anybody is having like a dark experience with jujitsu, I think they need to go back to where they found the joy, like why they started in the first place.
Mhm,
And if that is changing your gym, if it is quitting competition, if it is stepping away from the scale, like do those things, because that
mhm,
is the only reason that I am still training now, because I made the decision to like change the environment. And taking a break is okay.
yep.
Miss it and then you find the joy again, you know?
Perfect. That was a great little ending tag. Well, thank you so very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate you. Thank
this
you
is
for
a
everything you
blast.
do, Tori.
Oh shucks, I gotta do something to kill the hours of the day. Um, but yeah, thanks you so much, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay, bye, love.